Okay, so I think we'll start. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. We're starting bang on 12:30 because we've got a lot to get through in the next 30 minutes. And we've deliberately kept today's session short because obviously this is a busy time of the year for many of us. I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year. So indeed, the New Year is going to be the focus of today's webinar, where our experts are going to be examining 5 areas where hopefully we can fight against the challenges presented by 2024 and aim for growth. My name's Keir Thomas Bryant. I work for Auto Entry, and we're joined today by 2 expert voices who I would describe as celebrities in the world of accounting here in the UK. Well, let's just say that if there was a TV show called Accountants Got Talent, they might be on a judging panel. So the first is Natasha Everard. Natasha, can you perhaps give us a few words about who you are and your background, and perhaps explain your passion for helping other accountants and bookkeepers?
Okay, so hi everybody. I'm Natasha. I own my own bookkeeping practice and I'm very proudly a sole practitioner. I also run 2 large online communities on Facebook, the Accountant and Bookkeeper Support UK, where we offer free peer-to-peer support to anybody who needs it. I also was very proudly got to #1. We've also Mr. Sage Chris Downing as well, and Keir, who helped me create the book. There it is. We got to #1 in an Amazon thing with the book all about becoming a bookkeeping superhero, which you can download for free on my website. But I'm very passionate about helping others. I believe there's a greater space for sole practitioners and bookkeepers, and I'm there to champion you all.
Thank you very much. And our second panelist requires no introduction. If you've attended any accounting show over the last, God knows, 5-10 years, you'll have seen and perhaps even met him, including Sage's recent series of workshop events. Chris, please tell us a little bit about yourself for those who might not know.
Yeah, hi. My name's Chris Downing. I'm Director for Accounts and Bookkeepers here at Sage. I've been at Sage for 5.5 years now. Prior to that, I was an accountant by trade for 19 years, and Sage is my second ever job. Now, we're all about accountancy and bookkeeping. I'm like Natasha, is passionate about the industry, but also passionate about having the right change and using technology to not only improve how accountancy and bookkeepers practices operate, but also ensuring that our clients are aware in terms of how they can perform better. So I get involved in all sorts of things at Sage, everything from product to strategy to thought leadership, doing webinars like this, or being on stage, or actually just having one-to-ones with accountants and bookkeepers to help and support them. Because at the end of the day, the majority is made up by individuals like Natasha supporting hundreds of clients, and it can be a lonely profession unless you have the right peers around you or the right Facebook groups which you belong to.
Thanks, Chris. So just to let you know, people know, we technically have a Q&A planned in later, but at 30 minutes, we may not have time, and I don't think we will. But nevertheless, please add any questions into the Q&A box. And if we do have time, we'll certainly try to get through them. So it's not changing. There we go. So on to the first topic. People are feeling the pinch, and we're in a cost of living crisis. That's not news to anybody. It's affecting all of us with a knock-on effect for businesses of all kinds. Businesses are looking for efficiencies, of course. So Natasha, how have you gone about approaching these perhaps uncomfortable questions with clients around fees? Because ultimately, we're also running businesses too, aren't we? And we need to protect our own bottom lines.
Exactly, and with software providers having to increase their prices as well, we need to be proactive about that. But it's all about open discussion with what services we are currently supplying our clients. Are we offering them the services they need? Are we missing something? Are they having too much service that they don't actually need? And getting the pricing right is all about open discussion with them. So having the right pricing tool that enables us to price exactly the services we're offering, that they can actually see the value in that pricing as well. A lot of problems this year have arose from people thinking they can do things themselves. There's some great software companies out there that will advertise you can do everything yourselves, which doesn't actually help the clients, because a lot of things you need the accounting and bookkeeping knowledge in order to do that things like your tax returns, your VAT returns, and things like that. So for me, pricing this year has been quite an eye opener with clients, because some clients have reduced their services in order to keep the service is going, whereas others have actually added more services, and tools like Go Proposal has enabled me to be quite transparent and efficient with the pricing with them, so that they can see the value and that's portrayed at the instant.
Have you had any knockbacks from clients? I mean, any negative kind of feedback when you've had this kind of conversation, and how have you dealt with it?
You always get that. You always get Dave down the street who can actually pay for, say, you don't need this, you can do this yourself, or you can pay this one things.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's all about the value. If you're not actually feeling the value of the services you're providing and portraying that to your clients, they're not going to feel the same. So I have had a couple of clients that have gone because they have seen, possibly thinking the grass is green on the other side. But even yesterday, I had both of them come back and say, help, I need you now. So it's all about kind of being one step ahead and being proactive. And I think it's always making the clients part of your team. So you're going to be their team member. You're going to enhance them. You're going to understand their business and think, well, I can help you this one, but maybe you don't need the service I'm providing you at the moment, and working with them rather than trying to make a profit from all the time, work with them and become an active member of their business, so to speak.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. Chris, the message we like to say here at Auto Entry is that people can do more while still charging the same. And it's all well and good of saying that, isn't it? But I mean, where do people actually implement it? Where do they start with that kind of thought process?
I think, as Natasha says, it's all about being transparent in terms of the services which you can provide, and also explain to the client in terms of what their needs are, because sometimes all the clients believe they have a problem with is just getting the tax paid, but actually there's so much work behind it. And I think the power of, let's say, having that conversation is explaining the challenges which that business may be facing in the future. It's showing that sort of empathy with what they're going through, whether they're thinking of growing or literally just standing still, trying to get paid faster, trying to manage their staff. It's understanding those problems. And at the end of the day, accounts and bookkeepers, they're just part and parcel of that business process. They're just an external player. And I think things like Auto Entry, like Go Proposal, like cloud bookkeeping solutions, they're all there as part of that, those cogs in the machine, and they just need to be shown what benefits that brings. And really, that it naturally brings in those implementing efficiencies, because sometimes when there's a knockback on fees, it's because the client doesn't appreciate what you do, because all they have is an exchange of a conversation, some information, here's a tax return, and unfortunately here's a tax liability. What they don't see is all the hard work and the effort going on in the background. And sometimes you just need to be a little bit more transparent in that effort. And the fact that you do realize, I review your sales ledger, I try and identify old balances or try and allocate cash. Do you understand what a bank rec is? Do you understand that I review all your drawings or your direct loan account, try and make sure that the right things are in the right pots? That sort of explanation sort of creates that light bulb effect in the client's mind, saying, yeah, cool, I didn't realize that. You're putting a lot of effort in, and then the digital tools help support that conversation.
Awesome, thank you very much. Like I said, we have only limited time today. I'd love to spend more time talking on these topics, but we do have to move through quite quickly. So on to the next topic. In 2024, we saw the widespread introduction of ChatGPT, or generative AI as it's called, and that blew us all our minds, blew us all away in terms of its ability to generate entirely new things, analyze documents in a way that humans can. And suddenly it was like artificial intelligence had turned into what we see in sci-fi. Now, Natasha, I know you're a fan of technology and often first in the queue to at least try out new things. So what's your opinion then? Where do you think this is going?
It's been a breakthrough since obviously we all started playing with ChatGPT. So that's kind of like you put a question in, it comes up with a great big long answer. There has been a lot of talk of software companies bringing it in, but obviously it's kind of on our side of things with GPT, you know what I mean, with data protection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've got to be very careful with the information that you upload to these sources as well, and how it comes out. I personally love it for rewriting emails. I love it for doing a social media plan. I used it over the weekend to create my husband a CV, which win-win, he got the job straight away from it. But there is a lot of apprehension that software hasn't actually taken it quite so much at the moment, and I think it will change things. Obviously with data extraction, that's kind of little bit snippets in there, but it's obviously going to go further. But I think as we are kind of a protected industry with data, I think we have to be very wary how we use it and what for. I mean, the greatest thing of all, ask it to write a business plan and it'll write you a fantastic business plan. Use it wisely, like things like that. As for software using it, I'm yet to find one that's actually nailed it on the head yet.
Yeah. Well, that leads us actually into the next question for Chris, which, Chris, you're obviously behind the scenes at one of the largest, accountancy software providers in the world. I don't want to ask you to give away secrets because we share the same managers, and I don't think they'd be very pleased about that. But
I wouldn't be allowed to. No, yeah, get in trouble.
Could you perhaps give us your educated? Can you give us your educated opinion as to where you think the technology is heading? I mean, how long before it truly enters the mainstream, and where are we going to see it impact most powerfully?
I think the other reality check is that artificial intelligence has been around for quite some time. The best AI is the AI which you do not see. And what's actually happened in the last 18 months is the visualization and the accessibility of this technology to individuals like us on this call, when before it would have only been available to those really large corporate giants. Now suddenly it's available in your mobile phone. It's like digital bookkeeping tools. Once upon a time they were really costly, now they're available. It's part and parcel of your mobile banking. But what we're going to be seeing with, let's say, the latest phases of AI is the fact that its ability to be more creative, work with you, elevate the way that you work. And there are some people saying, oh, it's going to disrupt the market, it's going to take away our jobs. No, it's not. It's going to make our lives easier. Because at the end of the day, when you consider tools like auto entry and Dex, when they first came along, like 10 years ago, they thought, oh, this is going to destroy the accounting industry. What are we going to be doing with our time? I don't know about you, we've never been so busier. We've just used our time more effectively. So what we're going to be seeing over the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, just giving you a hint in terms of the pace of change, is artificial intelligence being part and parcel of your everyday tools. Whether that's bookkeeping, whether that's year-end compliance, whether that's how you communicate with your clients in a usual way with emails or chat or WhatsApp, it can be part and parcel. Just giving you that extra edge in terms of how you perform to save you time and do more tasks more effectively, but also give you the confidence around the data. So it's a case of watch this space and see what actually happens over the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, awesome. Just to flag, we have at AutoEntry, we've got a webinar coming up very soon, an on-demand webinar where I actually explore, do live demos of some features with ChatGPT. So keep your eye on that. We should be publishing it soon on our social channels. Okay, so on to the next question then. So this is a change for clients that perhaps truly illustrates the phrase different strokes for different folks. I mean, some people listening to the webinar today are going to be significantly impacted by basis period reform, while for others it's going to be, well, a lesser concern. Natasha, it's down to the kind of clients you have, isn't it? So can you tell us your experience of basis period reform so far?
I've been very fortunate where it's actually only affected one client. The problem was it came to kind of a bit of a shock to them, but we've sat down and we've talked it through. We've worked out the process that we need to do in order for this to work effectively for them, because it's something that they have to do. It's not something that they can just brush underneath the carpet, so to speak. The communication was the key part of it, and trying to eliminate any fears that they have about kind of getting it all in order, basically. And for me personally, it means for my practice it will be so much easier with dates being all the same. You're not having to remember somebody else's, oh, I have to do this and change it, blah blah blah. So I can see the reason for doing it. I think there was probably a hell of a lot more people worse off than I am to do it, but there has been some really good information out there and resources to help you explain to clients just how effective this is to put it into place. I know I've watched Chris is doing it with Samantha Mitchum and things like that, and it explained it in sort of stages where it's more manageable for them, for me to go to my clients and explain the process and why they have to do it.
Well, that's the same question I asked a few minutes ago about, we'll talk about fees. I mean, you have this client who you've had to introduce it to. How did they feel? What did they tell you? What did they say to you about it? I mean, I presume they weren't happy.
No, they weren't happy. They were just blaming HMRC again, because obviously this was on the back of MTD. It's announced and then all the delays on that one. So they obviously are people don't like change. I don't care who they are. People just don't like change. And I think as our roles as people who hold clients' hands, it's up to us to make these changes a little more simpler, a bit more user-friendly, a bit more adaptable, so they're not fearing it so much. And that's where the ITSA is going to fall into place as well, because we will hold their hands. They're not doing it on alone. They're going to be in a partnership to do it, and we need to be very visual with what we communicate to them and how twist it around, make it benefit for them in the long run. I think that's always, make it a positive twist. And I'm very for my clients, I always like to make everything a positive for them. Yeah, they've got a high back bill, great, you're making great sales, that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. It's, you've got to make a positive thing for it, otherwise they're going to rebel against any changes HMRC and the accounting industry bring, and we don't want that. We want them to see everything that we do for them is going to benefit them in the long run.
Yeah. Chris, I know you've been out there amongst accountants presenting on this topic, educating about it. And if you don't mind me asking, I mean, what's the word on the street now from accountants? Where should we be at right now? And if any of this is new to people, or perhaps something they've been attempting to ignore, where do you think they should start to kick it all off?
So let's just kick off, just in case people are aware what basic period reform change is. In a nutshell, if you have sole traders or partnerships where they have a year end, which isn't the 31st of March or the 5th of April, so they have an April year end or September year or a December year end, you need to have a conversation about whether they should change their year end to the fiscal basis, the 31st of March, because we're in transition year, 23-24. From April 2024, all unincorporated clients will be taxed based upon the fiscal year, no matter what their financial year is. So if you're still drawing up year-end accounts to the 30th of April, 30th of September, there are going to be some complications in terms of getting accounts done on time to actually have an accurate tax liability. So what accountants are doing, they're trying to actually not only have conversations with their clients. Now, fortunately, it's only 9% of unincorporated businesses affected by it, but whether it's 9% or just 1%, it's still a conversation you need to be had. But also these clients, these sole traders, they tend not to be using digital bookkeeping tools. They're not VAT registered, so they're not using software. You're reliant on, let's say, doing a set of books at the end of the year, close to January, and suddenly you're going to have to accelerate the preparation of an April 22 set of accounts as well as April 23 to get your ducks lined up to have that information. So therefore, it's been a case of trying to get clients to get caught up, almost doing 2 sets of accounts in one period, and then also advising the clients in terms of what the tax changes will be and whether they're going to end up paying any more tax. Now, obviously, there are solutions out there to spread it out over 5 years. But again, it's confusion, it's awareness. And as Natasha says, clients don't like change. They're also more fearful of what's going to happen next. But it's actually having that conversation throughout. But also, everyone's going to be in a slightly better position because everyone's going to be aligned and on a more transparent basis in terms of how their taxes are calculated.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, on to the next point. So, Natasha, this is a question that you asked us to include in today's webinar because it's an area that ultimately affects us all. There's some unique challenges on the horizon in 2024 that are going to put pressures on everything from client lists to how each of us manage our resources. So as 2024 gets underway, we're in the 18th day of it, what's your feelings about how you're going to manage what you do and how you're going to manage your clients?
I think for me, it's all about optimizing the software choices I've already made. Is making sure, am I the expert with this software? Do I know it inside out? Am I providing the right service to my clients with this software? So I think we all love going to these shows and looking at all brand new shiny products, but maybe we've got the right product already and we're not actually optimizing it, we're not using it. I'm a great thing of last year of deleting quite a lot of software because it wasn't being used. And I think this year, my real passion is the fact that we use software as an employee. So we train it, it trains us, it works with us, it becomes part of our team. It also then provides a service to our clients. And there's lots of software where I think, am I using it that is the client actually optimizing it as well? So it's not just educating us, it's educating the client who uses that software so that they use all the invoicing side of it, they can use their tracking side of it for expenses. with auto entry? Did they know that they can actually use it for expenses as well and things like that? And like for supplier statement reconciliations, are they using that facility? So rather than trailing through hours of pages and pages of statements, checking against invoices on the ledger, why not use that function? There's these kind of functions in software that we really need to get to grips ourselves so we can broadcast the value of these. And I think we're all very guilty of not doing that. And I think this year, there is some great software out there that can optimize that, such as auto entry. We've got the Sage for accountants, obviously, but there's other things like trying to think what this like Futurely. I'm looking at that at the moment, and that's taking my clients' knowledge to a little bit more and forecasting with them. So it's all these little things that's going to make 2024 manage our own practice, the way that we talk to our clients and where we manage them, and also sort of give us a bit of a future as well with them.
Yeah. Chris, I'm always aware that your background's in practice and that, as you often say, you'll always be an accountant at heart. So where do you think people can start to unpack this problem? And what does your experience and perhaps even your gut feeling tell you is the best place to start, given the challenges of 2024?
I think one of the reality checks is the fact that we are very, very busy individuals. The profession has never been busier, whether that's changes in legislation, increasing client demands because they want to do more, they want to manage their cash or have a better insight to their taxes. We're just an incredibly busy profession. Once upon a time, many, many moons ago, we would have had the situation where February and March was quite a traditionally quiet period. We've done all the tax returns, and we would have a pause and we can get ourselves sorted and plan ahead. That pause doesn't exist anymore. And those months were great because you could plan ahead, play with new technology, think about what you're going to implement, think about your own business plan. That doesn't happen. So I think what we need to be doing is actually carving out time in the week or in the month to actually have those play days, that ability to actually say, right, I'm going to put my clients to one side and I'm going to make myself my own client. What should I be doing with me? I should be investing time in understanding the tools I should be using, educating myself, doing some training, or even taking that piece of software you've got and start playing with all the buttons, just see what those buttons do. And as Natasha says, it always fascinates me. You've got people who'll be using auto entry for scanning bank statements, but haven't looked at that at all. I can scan some purchase invoices. What's this button here for supplier statement rec? It's actually playing with the technology. And you need to carve out time to actually have a play, see how it works, be the experts yourself and advocate that expertise to your clients, which will actually create a better experience for that first subject we talked about, fees and prices and transparency and efficiency.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And so we've heard some excellent explanations and even some fantastic tips so far, but we need to be able to put this into a concrete plan for improvement. And luckily, that's just something that Chris Down has been working on. Chris, 100 days to introduce what might seem like quite radical changes. That's what you're saying, isn't it? So perhaps even before winter is over, people could be in a better position?
Yes, certainly. And I think what we tend to do, we tend to think, oh, we must implement something new in our practice. We want to implement some new software, a new process, nail the AML process we've got, try and sort out all the letters engaged, whatever it is, there's usually something we need to do as a business ourselves to make our fields better, more efficient and more profitable. The challenge is we may actually do a light touch and may not possibly implement it properly. So let's just take something as simple as auto entry or deck, the ability to scan an invoice and get that digitized. Hands up, how many of us can honestly say all our trading clients will have that system in place and our clients are using effectively? And it possibly comes down, we didn't have the right plan in place, the right onboarding journey, the right conversation with the client, the right touch points with the client to make sure they're using it properly. But this always takes time. And when you think about our own practices, we're trying to do the day job and we do not have enough time to think change properly. This is why sensibly, I think a 100-day plan makes sense, because when you think about a typical month, there's only like 20 odd working days. So therefore, how much time can we put to one side to do certain elements? And this comes down to actually thinking about if you're going to do anything properly, you need to plan for it. And this is why, what's your strategic plan of why are you going to be doing something? What are the benefits you're going to get from it? And you think, well, technology is going to be the savior, whether that's cloud bookkeeping tools or a pricing tool or a forecasting tool, go and see what's out there. Go and do the beauty parade. Go and do the demos. Try and get the people like, there's this great technology out there. I think that looks amazing. That's going to be great for my practice and my clients. But actually, how is that going to affect your existing processes? How often do we review how we do work ourselves? Something as simple, if you're manually keying in purchase invoices, what's the process today? Are you putting them into little bags? How do you sort them out? Do you, let's say, carve out time to do so? Well, I'm going to have to change my own daily processes to make sure the technology fits in appropriately. So doing that self-review of what you do is important. And it's not just literally saying, well, this is what I do today. It's actually having that analysis over a week or so. Again, over a 40-day period, you would let's say what your strategy is, what technology you can use, and what is your existing processes. Then actually thinking about actually getting something done, start to implement it. Then thinking about what benefits is that bringing? What's the feedback from my clients? What's the feedback from my colleagues and the staff I use? Do I feel happy about it? Am I getting tangible results and benefits from it? And I think whatever plan A or B we have, they all can be changed. We're going to have a plan C, D, E, and F. And by having that mindset of the fact that I may have made an error, I may have made the wrong choice, means I can actually go back and tweak the processes and improve it, which then means you have the confidence about what you're doing and the ability to then scale up and effectively apply this new piece of technology, this new idea, this plan, this new pricing concept, whatever you're planning to do, on a more tangible benefit across your whole client base. But it needs proper planning. And I think by having that planning over 4 months, thinking about what you're going to do and when, is actually the road to success.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. Well, our timing has actually been really good for this webinar. I was anticipating us rushing to the end and overrunning, but no, we're doing fine. So we do have time for a Q&A if anybody wants to. There's nothing in the question section right now. If anybody wants to add anything, well, apart from one question about getting a copy of the webinar, but if anybody wants to add anything, you can add it right now. I'll give you a few seconds to frantically tap away at your keyboard if that takes your fancy. Nothing appears to be coming through. Okay, well, in that case then, I'm going to move to the end. And thank you all for attending today. Today we touched on some important topics around accounting automation, I think. And as I'm sure you know, that's what we do here at AutoEntry. As Natasha said, for most accountants and bookkeepers, AutoEntry is considered the basic mandatory go-to tool that they and their clients rely upon daily. I'd encourage you to visit the link you can see on screen there, autoentry.com/demo, and request a one-to-one demo. Gives you a chance to speak directly to one of our experts, put all the hard questions to them, and really find out how AutoEntry can specifically do things to change your processes. Or you can visit autoentry.com and get a free trial, where you get 25 free credits and enough for 25 receipts or invoices getting data from them. Later today, as I mentioned in the Q&A answers, you'll get an email with a link to the recording of this webinar if you want to watch it again. But other than that, it's just left for me to say thank you all for attending, and here's hoping that the remainder of 2022 is amazing for all of us.
Thank you.